What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, the 20th day of February in the year 2025. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here is what we're tracking tonight. Vice President Barbara Jagdeo today said the Ministry of Finance has been instructed to simplify the distribution of that $100,000 cash grant after the current phase of the exercise got off to a chaotic start, with hundreds of disgruntled citizens flocking the distribution sites. Mr. Jagdeo told reporters this afternoon that approximately 545,000 checks have been processed so far, while some 200,000 checks have already been issued. He said a number of persons have been showing up to distribution sites, although their checks have not been printed, thereby creating some confusion. He stressed that checks for the $100,000 grant would only be printed upon the completion of the verification process, and as such, the number of printed checks would be lower than the number of persons registered within the system.
So this is something we have to be better with. I don't know how, because you can't get to each home to call people to say, like if it's a big community, 2,000-3,000 people, to call everyone and say, your check is not ready as yet for the 10 or 20% that may not be ready. Please don't come.
The Vice President assured that once the information of registrants is verified, the checks will be issued.
The ministry has to improve on this. Ashni Singh has to take this personally and deal with it. Now that the budget is over and his staff can focus full time on this, that they have to pay more attention to this. We want to get it out as quickly as possible, and with the least confusion. There has been some confusion, but it's dictated by those sorts of things.
And Mr. Jagdeo also spoke of the need for standardizing the process of uplifting the checks with regard to the documents required. At least 2 persons have complained publicly about their checks being issued to the wrong person. But Mr. Jagdeo said he's unclear of that particular issue.
If you give me just the name and I can verify it, and if it was issued, then we have a problem. We have to fix it. So I would want them to build safeguards in the system to ensure that this doesn't happen.
In the future, the Vice President said the government is looking to use financial technological solutions to ensure a smoother transfer of the funds. The National Assembly has approved more than $60 billion to facilitate the cash grant payments. More news coming up in just a moment.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look. You know the one. Or one touch. Even one word. It can start with one step. Or one promise. One thrill. One first time. One deep breath. One leap of faith. One day to remember. Or one night to forget. One moment. So many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life. Just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Your own home is so much more than just 4 walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants.
Marvelous Entertainment and Hits and Jump Entertainment brings to you Nasharama Dancehall Concert, the official after-match event featuring the most energetic and trending dancehall stars on Kingston Beachfront, featuring Jamaican Spin Town Badness natives. Dancehall Hot Topic, Armani, and Guyana's very own Lola Dog.
Like talk to me, needs them.
Let's close off the match season with a bang on the beach with Boom FM, Father Moe, Stereosonic, and Fusion DJ. Nasharama Beach Party, Rama Ready on Sunday, February 23rd from 7 p.m. Super early bird tickets 4,000 and VIP 15,000. General admission 6,000. Brought to you by Banks Beer, Guinness, GT Beer, Diamond Reserve Rum, GD Events, Stovetop, Fireside Grill and Chill, Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. Please drink responsibly. No underage drinking. Nasharama! Welcome back. Let's tell you now that the president of ExxonMobil Guyana, Alastair Rutledge, has told the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo that the vision for gas development in Guyana does not stop at Wales, but includes maximizing Guyana's natural gas to power an alumina plant in addition to a data center and a fertilizer plant. In an address to the conference on Wednesday, Mr. Rutledge said that vision includes building on the first gas-to-energy project at Wales, while developing gas resources in the southeast portion of the Stabroek Block through a second gas-to-energy project.
Alumina production is a good use of gas. And in fact, use of gas to produce alumina in its own right is a lower emission alumina supply in the world. Today, actually, yields a premium as a product to alumina that is generated using coal or oil. So there is already a potential path to that energy transition contribution, even in aluminium, which is a metal that's essential to the future.
He said together with the government, ExxonMobil is also exploring the possibility of powering a data center and the fertilizer plant in Berbice to meet global demands. According to the ExxonMobil Guyana boss, the country is already in talks with investors as the demand for energy to support artificial intelligence grows.
Well, why not use gas in Guyana as part of distributed data centers and AI around the world? So that's on our radar. Of course, fertilizer. Well, it's potential that in the Wales development there could be a fertilizer plant that could supply the fertilizer needs of Guyana, northern Brazil, CARICOM. Within this region, there are significantly higher needs for fertilizer. And so we foresee the potential for development of additional fertilizer.
Mr. Rutledge stated that while it may be cost prohibitive to lay a pipeline all the way to Trinidad and Tobago, there is the possibility of using liquefied natural gas technology to reach global markets. He said that option is also on the table and is being investigated. Just recently, the oil magnate submitted an environmental authorization application for its 8th project, the Longtail project in the Stabroek Block. The new project has the capacity to generate in excess of 1 billion cubic feet of gas, in addition to more than 250,000 barrels of crude per day.
Because instead of it being underpinned by a 250,000 barrel per day oil facility, this one we expect will produce 250,000 barrels a day of condensate in the early years, but will have around 1 to 1.2 billion cubic feet a day of gas compression on board it. 1.2 billion cubic feet a day. That's more than double the largest of the other FPSOs that we have in construction from a gas compression point of view. It's enormous.
Rutledge said at the start of oil production in Guyana back in 2019, there was no existing gas market, adding that it took considerable work with the government to reach to this point. The initiation of the first gas-to-energy project at Wales in 2022 was that first step. When completed, the project will see associated gas from an existing oil field development being brought onshore to the 300 megawatt power plant and natural gas liquids facility at Wales to power the country using gas turbines. The project will significantly reduce the country's use of the heavy fuel oil, thereby reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Already a $1 billion gas pipeline, which was constructed by ExxonMobil, has been completed, while the construction of the power plant and the NGL facility is in progress.
If we fully utilize the capacity of the pipeline, we anticipate being able to flow up to 120 million cubic feet per day of this rich gas. That will support, of course, more power generation, fertilizer, and of course, an estimated 10,000 barrels per day of natural gas liquids. So not an insignificant contribution for the country, but also potentially for the region, as the Minister's talked about marketing these products around the region.
The second gas-to-energy project is intended to utilize an additional 75 million cubic feet of gas per day, which will also be supplied by ExxonMobil from offshore fields. This phase will include the construction of another power plant with a capacity of 250 megawatts and an additional natural gas liquids plant. The infrastructure for Phase 2 is intended to be located next to the Phase 1 facility at Wales. Days after the World Bank released a damning report on the Caribbean's education sector, describing it as a sector in crisis, the chairman of CARICOM, Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley, has called on her fellow Caribbean community leaders to act and address the crisis that is facing the education sector. Addressing the opening of the CARICOM regular meeting in Barbados on Wednesday evening, Prime Minister Mottley said the region cannot continue treating education as if it's business as usual.
Our education is in shambles in the region, and the quicker we come together and coordinate the reform that is necessary for it, the better we will be, because we cannot build out this region with the old educational systems of the colonial system that are hierarchical in nature and ignore the reality.
The World Bank recently highlighted a number of systemic issues that are facing the Caribbean's education system, calling for more financial investment and enhanced teacher support. The World Bank's country director for the Caribbean said the region is confronting an education crisis that is jeopardizing the future of the Caribbean, noting that too many education systems in the region are failing. In its report, the World Bank noted that in 2024, only 4.9% of the students who wrote the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate exams passed 5 or more subjects that included mathematics and English. The World Bank said the mathematics pass rate of 36% highlights a long-standing issue of foundational learning, which continues to undermine student success and regional development. The World Bank also warned that the crisis has deep systemic roots and far-reaching consequences for economic growth, social cohesion, and crime prevention in the Caribbean. It said to achieve lasting change, Caribbean countries must adopt a holistic and resilient approach to education reform, which includes preparing educational systems to withstand external shocks such as natural disasters and pandemics, which disproportionately affect vulnerable students. A local company, Guyana Electric, has joined forces with US-based company GE Vernova to strengthen Guyana's electrical power grid. GE Vernova representative Douglas Hesbon and the co-owners of Guyana Electric, Keon Howard and Michelle Howard, announced a partnership on the sidelines of the Guyana Energy Conference. Hesbon said the US-based company, which has been on a mission to build more sustainable electric power systems, is excited to partner with Guyana Electric. The company has been scouting for a local partner since 2017. Under the partnership, the two companies will provide training to engineers while advancing power transmission solutions.
One of the most important aspects of this joint venture was to establish a long-term relationship and build advanced power transmission solutions for the Guyana electric grid. Ever since we got here, we realized there was the need to have a strong partnership with a local company to develop and establish advanced power transmission solutions for the grid.
Has been said, GE Vernova is cognizant of the challenges facing the national grid and stands ready to provide viable solutions similar to those being provided in the US and Latin America and the Caribbean. Through the partnership with Guyana Electric, GE Vernova is also looking to establish partnerships with technical institutions in the country. Guyana Electric's Keon Howard said his company is also excited with the partnership and will provide critical training to Guyana's engineers while strengthening the electrical grid.
If we cannot do it alone, let's reach out to people that can help us to do it financially, physically, and this is what we're doing to make it happen.
Through the joint venture, the companies are looking to provide their services to the Guyana Power and Light Company, all aimed at strengthening the grid.
Use strong passwords and enable multi-factor authentication, MFA. Ensure all passwords are complex and secure, making them difficult to guess. Combine this with multi-factor authentication to provide a robust first-line defense against unauthorized access to your company's sensitive data and financial assets. Stay ahead in cybersecurity with Bravo Stronghold. Visit us at Booth 57 during the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo, February 18th to the 21st at the Guyana Marriott Hotel.
Guyana, get ready for Gospel Fest 2025 Vintage Praise, 7 p.m. on Mesh Night at the National Exhibition Center, featuring Papa San. Jesus, my Savior, I love you. Backed by his full band, alongside Guyana's own Samuel Midas. Sherilyn Maloney. Come on now and praise his name today. And many more. Extra early bird tickets are $3,000. Early bird $3,500. Regular tickets $4,000. Children under 10 $2,000. VIP tickets $20,000. Tickets are on sale at locations across the country. Papa San will be in Guyana on Mesh Night for Gospel Fest 2025.
Your own home is so much more than just four walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
Ready to up your game? Ready to up your game? Win big with over 60 epic prizes. A brand new PS5, Nintendo Switch, iPhone 16 Pro Max, Apple smartwatch, and the hottest earbuds from Apple and Samsung. Plus, we are giving away thousands in phone credit and a whole year supply of Buster or Turbo Energy drink. Here's how. Buy any Buster or Turbo Energy drink, find the code starting with BB and enter online or on WhatsApp. Visit us on Facebook or Instagram at Turbo_Caribbean or Buster Guyana for all the details. Don't just play. Up your game with Buster and Turbo Energy.
Now let's tell you that the election fraud case commenced this week for a second time, with the prosecution presenting American Chamber of Commerce Guyana observer Rosalinda Brazil as its first witness. The case has also seen prominent attorney Dr. Dexter Todd joining the defense team, and another prominent attorney, Lakshmi Rahamat, joining the prosecution. Razul took the stand on Tuesday as the trial started afresh before the acting chief magistrate, Faith Magasti. As she re-entered the witness box, Ms. Razul told the court that during the course of the 2020 elections, the election officials on the ground abandoned the use of statements of poll and opted for a spreadsheet. She testified that she witnessed numbers being called out by GCOM staff that did not match the numbers on the corresponding documents that were in the possession of party agents, triggering loud protests. She also testified that many of the complaints were ignored, and the GCOM staff conducting the process continued with their presentation of incorrect numbers. During her testimony, she also revealed additional details, resulting in the defense team objecting and claiming that the details were not in her official statement to the court. Attorney-at-law Nigel Hughes, who forms part of the defense team, told News Source that while being cross-examined on Wednesday, Razul provided the court with information that was never disclosed before.
And she admitted in cross-examination that all the new information that she gave in court today, which was not in her statement, was provided to the prosecutors on several occasions, and the prosecutors refused to take a further statement from her with that information.
Razul provided a list of names that were reportedly never featured in her statement, along with information about the conduct of a number of individuals during the course of the tabulation process. The court was told that while she formed part of the AmCham election observer team, she could not say whether the local organization had submitted a report to the Elections Commission on its observations. She also testified that she was not familiar with the scope of duties for the Chief Elections Officer and the Deputy Chief Elections Officer. The former GCOM CEO and Deputy CEO are among the defendants in the case. Outside of the testimony of Ms. Razul, there was an exchange between the prosecution and defense over attorney Dexter Todd joining the defense team.
The cases that he was involved in are not these cases. Those cases were withdrawn, but then these were subsequently filed. Mr. Todd, who was appearing online, subsequently attended court and indicated to the court that he did not see any statements. He was just there for 2 preliminary meetings. However, he said that Ms. Rahamat was part of the investigating team and continued to be a member of the prosecution. One of the reasons that he left and did not continue to appear was the fact that Ms. Rahamat was acting both as investigator and prosecutor.
State Prosecutor Lakshmi Rahamat told the court that Todd had been involved in the preparation of the case back in 2020. However, it was pointed out by the defense that the case that had Todd's involvement was withdrawn and is not the current case. Todd told the court that during the preparation of the case that was withdrawn, he was only involved in preliminary meetings, while noting that the special prosecutor Lakshmi Rahamat was actually involved as part of an investigating team while now serving as a prosecutor. Rahamat told the court that she was not an investigating officer, and therefore the issue of conflict of interest does not arise. The case will move on with both Rahamat and Todd joining as attorneys for the 2 different sides. The defendants in the matter are former Chief Election Officer Keith Lowenfield, former Deputy Chief Election Officer Roxanne Myers, and former Region 4 Returning Officer Clement Mingo, along with Opposition Member of Parliament Volda Lawrence, PNC Reform Member Carol Smith-Joseph, and Election Officers Chauffeur in February, Enrique Livan, Denise Bob Cummings, and Michelle Miller. The 9 accused are facing 19 conspiracy charges relating to an alleged attempt to declare fraudulent results during the 2020 elections. They have all declared their innocence and have pleaded not guilty. The trial, which commenced last year, came to a sudden end after the then presiding magistrate fell ill. It was subsequently taken over by the acting chief magistrate. After 2 days of testimony this week, the matter has now been adjourned to the 17th of March. United Nations Guyana, in partnership with the Joint Sustainable Development Goals Fund and the Guyana Energy Agency, has launched the Just Energy Transition Seed Funding Initiative, which is aimed at advancing Guyana's transition to a low-carbon transportation sector by promoting electric vehicles and expanding renewable energy infrastructure. Addressing the launch at UN House in Kingston earlier this week, the UNDP officer in charge, Nadira Balram, said the initiative is a strategic step towards accelerating the shift to cleaner and more sustainable energy solutions in Guyana. She said the $250,000 program, which is being funded through the Sustainable Development Goals Fund, seeks to achieve two key outcomes.
One being expanding renewable energy infrastructure, where we will see 3 new solar-powered electric vehicle charging stations installed around Georgetown. The second component of the project looks at building human capacity for a just energy transition. A critical component of this initiative will invest technical and vocational training for approximately 20 persons.
Ms. Balram said the impact program will be far-reaching. She explained that by increasing the accessibility of electric vehicles charging stations, the partners are taking tangible steps to reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
But it goes beyond environmental benefits. This initiative will also create green jobs and new economic opportunities, simply by equipping a new generation of technicians with specialized skills. We are also working to foster a workforce that is prepared for a transition to a low-carbon society.
The head of the Guyana Energy Agency, Dr. Mahendra Sharma, said the program will build on the foundation laid by the government. He said the government has built a total of 6 charging stations for electric vehicles. It was explained that each of the electric vehicle charging stations will be equipped with a 15-kilowatt solar PV panel module, which would be connected to a charger capable of charging 2 electric vehicles simultaneously. He also said electric vehicles could be charged within 40 minutes in some cases.
These two technologies will provide a good opportunity for us to reduce our energy consumption, promote electric mobility.
Dr. Sharma said the program fits nicely into Guyana's low-carbon development strategy, in particular low-carbon transportation. In 2024, 24 electric vehicles were imported here in Guyana. According to Dr. Sharma, there are approximately 224 electric vehicles in the country. He said Guyana could soon see a proliferation of electric vehicles as the government teams up with its international partners to establish more charging stations and take steps to bring down the cost of electricity. As debate continues over the recently released Transparency International Corruption Perception Index report, which saw Guyana dropping by 1 point and described as a country as a state captured by economic and political elites, which fosters misappropriation of resources, the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, Gail Teixeira, is again responding. This time to former Auditor General Anand Gulsaran and other persons who have been critical of the government's handling of corruption reports. The government is holding on to the view that the report is based on perception and not actual facts or acts of corruption. In a released video statement, Teixeira said the government has never insinuated that there is no corruption taking place, but that there have been strong anti-corruption measures which were implemented by the administration.
No one said, nor have I ever said, that we have reached great heights of anti-corruption. But what I can say is that Guyana, in the last 4 years, have made serious efforts to improve its anti-corruption framework, its anti-corruption systems, and to have greater accountability and transparency.
According to the minister, there is no country in the world which has been able to successfully counter corruption, even as she continued to cast doubt on the data and report of CPI.
And again, I repeat what I said in the press statement, is that conflict of interest is a major concern to do with corruption. And how is it? Is it totally coincidental or ironic that the 14 countries that fund TI, fund the CPI, are the countries who all get above 60 out to 90, out to the 100? I think that's highly coincidental, isn't it? Highly coincidental. And how is it the Global South, who happen to be made up of brown people and black people and other color people, are always at the bottom.
Teixeira also said although there have been loud noises about Guyana falling by 1 point on the index, many developed countries fell by as much as 8 points. However, she said the full report needs to be examined, where Guyana has also been listed as a significant improver.
Fighting corruption is a constant battle. Our framework is good. We have to strengthen our capacity, the technical skills of those who are involved. We have passed the FATF review. We have passed the Inter-American Convention Against Corruption review in March last year. We are now in the second stage of review by the UN Convention Against Corruption. These are major issues.
While the government has been questioning the report, the parliamentary opposition, the APNU and AFC, have welcomed the report, saying it confirms the issues they have been raising regularly about corruption in the government.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyoil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
Cybersecurity is essential for every organization. By educating your team on its importance, you equip them to protect your business, sensitive data, and minimize the risk of cyber attacks. Discover how Bravo Stronghold can safeguard your business. Visit us at booth 57 during the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo, February 18 to the 21st at the Guyana Marriott Hotel.
With your regional and international news tonight, I am Svetlana Marshall in the region. A group of nearly 100 migrants deported from the U.S. to Panama last week has been moved from a hotel in the capital to the Darien Jungle region in the south of the country, Panama's government said on Wednesday. In a statement, Panama's security ministry said of the 299 migrants deported from the U.S. in recent days, 13 had been repatriated to their countries of origin, while another 175 remained in the hotel in Panama City, awaiting onward journeys after agreeing to return home. The migrants have been staying at the hotel under the protection of local authorities and with the financial support of the United States through the UN-related International Organization for Migration and the UN Refugee Agency, according to the Panamanian government. Former colonial powers must apologize and pay compensation for their historic role in the enslavement of Africans, Grenadian Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell told European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Mitchell addressed von der Leyen late on Wednesday at the 48 Heads of Government meeting of the Caribbean Community CARICOM in Barbados, which the European leader attended for the first time. Von der Leyen replied to Mitchell without referring to reparations, saying slavery is a crime against humanity and the dignity and universal rights of every single human being is untouchable and must be defended by all means. From the 15th to the 19th century, at least 12.5 million Africans were kidnapped and forcibly transported by mostly European merchants and sold into slavery. Calls for reparations for slavery and colonialism are long-standing but have been gaining momentum worldwide, particularly among CARICOM and the African Union. CARICOM has its own reparation plan, which among other demands calls for technology transfers and investments to tackle health crises and illiteracy. And finally tonight, international news. Delta Airlines is offering US $30,000 to each person on board a plane that crash-landed in Toronto on Monday, all of whom survived. As it landed in the Canadian city, the plane skidded along the runway in flames before flipping over and coming to a halt upside down. Passengers described their amazement as most of them walked away without injuries. It remains unclear what caused the accident, which is under investigation. There were 76 passengers and 4 crew on the flight, which had traveled from the U.S. city of Minneapolis before making its crash landing in Canada. A spokesperson for Delta said the money offer had no strings attached and did not affect customers' rights. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and wishing you a pleasant evening.